Okay, let's go run through some quick examples. First, adding decimals. We have 7.32 plus 4.991. Now see, these aren't lined up well. See this? This is at an angle. So let's try this again. 7.32 plus 4.99. What did I say? 1. Now, our decimals lines up, our ones place lines up. We need us to line up our place values. Our tenths, our hundredths line up. But we also need a 0 here. So we need to do annex a 0, as the book calls it. Now we can add these up. And we just add up our place values and regroup as needed. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 2 plus 9 is 11. Book calls this regrouping. Some people call it carrying over 1. So you have 1 plus 3 plus 9, which is 13. And we regroup that 1 over here. But we need to drop our decimal down, right? That's how it's lined up because we just added our tenths. Now we're going to add our ones place. We have 1 plus 7 plus 4, which is 12. So the 1 goes there. 2 in the ones place, 1 in the tens place. And there is our solution. Okay, awesome. Adding decimals. Let's look at another one. Subtracting. We have 0.295, and we're going to subtract 3.57. So subtract, and we want to line up our place values again. So 3 is the ones, 4, our decimals line up. Decimals is always that quick check. Tens and tenths line up. 3.57, our hundredths line up. But notice there's a blank space here. That's where we annex a 0 again. So we put a 0 right there. Boom. Now we go through and do subtraction. We subtract our place values. So we have 5 thousandths minus 0 thousandths. So like 5 minus 0, that's just 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then we have 2 minus 5. That's 2 tenths minus 5 tenths. We can't do that with this algorithm. So what we do is we regroup, or some people can borrow from the ones place. So this, now there's 3 there, and we put that 1 there. So that's 12 tenths minus 5 tenths. 12 minus 5 is 7. Our decimals are lined up, so we put a decimal right there. We subtract the ones. 3 minus 3 is 0. And then 1 minus 0 is 1. So 14.295 minus 3.57 is 10.725. There's our final answer there. Awesome. Subtracting decimals. Next up, multiplying decimals. Here, our example is 3.21 times 1.5. Now, unlike adding and subtracting decimals, we don't need to line up. When it comes to multiplying decimals, we don't need to line up the place values. So it doesn't matter. With this algorithm, I usually like to put the number that has the less number of digits at the bottom because it means the less lines overall. Remember, because multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter the order in which we multiply it. So here we go. We're going to use our standard algorithm for multiplying whole numbers. So instead of thinking this 3.21 times 1.5, we're going to think of this as 321 times 15 and start with that. So we go 5 times 1, excuse me, is 5. 5 times 2 is 0. Regroup, carry that 1 over there. And then we have 5 times 3 plus 1 is 16. Now we're going to do our next line. Remember, you always have to annex a 0 when you do that next line there. And then we start with 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 3 is 3. So these are the two numbers that we're going to add up. And we get 5 plus 0 is 5, 0 plus 1 is 1, 6 plus 2 is 8, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Now, if we were to multiply 321 times 15, we get 4,815. But that's not what we multiplied, was it? When we deal multiplication of decimals, we deal with the decimal at the end. So over here, to make this in 321, we had to multiply it by 100, which is, notice there's 2 decimals. And this, in the 1.5, we multiplied it by 10. There is 1 decimal, right? So in total, we multiplied our product by 1,000, which has 3 decimals, which we essentially moved 3 decimals. So since we multiplied by 1,000, we have to undo it, which means we have to move back 3 decimals. So 1, 2, 3. And that's where our decimal goes. So 3.21 times 1.5 is 4.8. Whoops, that's not a pretty 8. Still getting used to this tablet here. 4.815. There we have it. That's multiplying decimals. Last up, dividing decimals. Okay, so we have 14.75 divided by 2.5. We want to find the quotient here. 14.75 divided by 2.5. Well, we know how to divide decimals if our divisor, this number here, is a whole number. Well, we can just multiply that by 10, right? So we multiply this number by 10 and this number by 10. We would get 147.5 divided by 25, which is still going to give me the same answer. Because think about this. 1 divided by 2 equals 10 divided by 20, which equals 100 divided by 200. All the same, just orders of just multiplied by 10, multiplied by 100, top and bottom. Okay? No different. So we take our division problem right here, and we write 14.75. Make sure I do this neatly. And we're going to divide that by 2.5. Go over here. Now, this is what we do. We start with our divisor. What we're dividing by, right? We have to move it over one spot, right? Now we have a whole number here, 25. So we go here and move it over 1. This is where our decimal now is. So we're now doing 147.5 divided by 25. Okay, let's do this. 25 doesn't go into 1 or 14, but it does go into 147 5 times. 5 times 25 is 125. So we're going to subtract 147 minus 125. And we get 7 minus 5 is 2. And 4 minus 2 is 2. We drop down this 5. And we're like, okay, how many times does 25 go into 225? Well, that's going to be 9 times. Right? So we get 9 times 25 is 225. And so our remainder is 0. And there's our quotient right there. So that is dividing decimals.